All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at how we can set this up and install some of the tools we need to get started with this course here. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and open this up here. First off, to start, you'll see in the steps, if you are on Windows and Mac, go ahead and make sure that you have the Java Home environment variable set up. For those of us who are on Mac, we'll find that it's probably already pre-installed, and if not, you can just go ahead and run through the installer. On Windows, you can go ahead and just follow the steps on the side there for setting up the Java Home environment variable. All right, from there, what we need to do is we're going to go ahead and create a new set of folders. If you haven't already done this from maybe some of the other previous courses here, you can go ahead and do this now. We're going to create a Liferay folder and a bundles folder. Okay, for those of you who are on Windows, you're going to do this in your C drive. For those of us who are on Mac, we're going to go to our user home and create our Liferay folder here. And then in that Liferay folder, we can create a bundles folder. All right, so make sure you have that set up. Again, if you need time to perform any of these steps or follow along with the steps on the side there, then feel free to pause the video and you can continue on with me when you are ready. All right, you'll see here in my downloads, I'm just going to go ahead and open this up here. I already have the downloads for the course, and you can see that on the side here as well. I have my DXP bundle, I have my exercises, and I have my activation key. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and copy my DXP bundle here. It's going to say DXP GA1. Go ahead and copy that. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and come to my bundles folder here in my Liferay folder. All right, and paste it on there. You'll see that I've already pasted it there in preparation as well. Okay, so you can follow along, paste it there, and then we just need to go ahead and unzip it in this folder. All right, if you already have a DXP GA1 bundle from another course, here I would recommend you either create a separate bundles folder, or you can just go ahead and maybe change the name here so it says something like front-end developer, something that identifies which course you're working with. All right, for those of us on Mac, we can just go ahead and unzip this here. If you are on Windows, okay, what we would recommend is that you use a non-default unzipping tool. Okay, something like WinZip or 7-Zip or something along those lines. Do not use the default Windows unzipper tool. You're going to have some issues with that there. All right, so go ahead and get this going here. We have this unzipped. Once we have this unzipped, there's a few things that we need to do. Obviously, we need to get the activation key in our bundle, and we also need to get our exercises set up here as well so that we can install and use some of the tools that we'll be using for this course. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the exercises. I have another tab open here. Again, if you're on Mac, you can go ahead and follow along with me. If you are on Windows, feel free to open up new windows or whatever you guys need to do to make this convenient. All right, and I'm just going to copy my exercises from my downloads folder. Okay, it's going to be the exercises zip that I downloaded from the course page here. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and paste it here. Now, what I'm doing is going to be a little bit different than the steps, so feel free to follow along with me. All right, I'm going to actually unzip this at the Liferay folder level. Okay, just so everything is centralized in the Liferay folder. Okay, so now I have my exercises. I can open this up and I will see the different chapters that we'll be working through here. All right, and I'll see if I open up the first chapter, we have some tools that we're going to be using here as well. So to start, let's go ahead and make sure that we have Node installed. You'll see that we have the Node version here for the different operating systems. Okay, so make sure to have this installed. You can walk through the installer. I, of course, already have Node installed, but you can find that in your exercises and in that first chapter. So go ahead and do that. And in order to verify that everything is working as expected, you can go ahead and open up your terminal or command line, and you can run something like node-v to get a version. Should be 8 dot something. And you can also run npm-version here. You should see version 6.x. All right, so from here, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and install Yeoman and Gulp. These are some of the dependencies that we will need to use the Liferay theme generator. So we can go ahead and do that by running the command npm install -g yo-gulp. Now, for those of us on Unix systems, we may need to run sudo. You do need admin access to run this command. So in Windows, you might need to have an admin console. Okay, so I can run sudo npm install -g yo-gulp. And then I'll have to input my password here and let it install. Now, I already have this installed, but what this will do is it will basically start the installation process, check, and let me know that I have all of the dependencies up to date, and I can continue on here. So feel free to pause the video if you need to get this to install. Okay, again, mine's just showing me that I have all of my packages here. Okay, and the next thing that I need to do is I need to actually install the Liferay theme generator. Okay, this is going to be an npm package. So I'm going to go ahead and do sudo again, and I'm going to run npm install -g, and then it's going to be called generator-liferay-theme. All right, and I can go ahead and get that installing as well. As we can see with npm, it's so easy to just get exactly what we need to get running quickly. Don't worry about that warning for now. All right, so now that we have this installed, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to go ahead and get Liferay started up. Okay, so we have our tools, and now we need to go ahead and start Liferay. This is going to be just a testing server for us to deploy some of our front-end modules that we'll be creating in this course. Okay. All right, so I'm going to jump back to my bundles tab here, where I have my DXP GA1 bundle. All right, I'm going to open this up. And just to make it easier, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create the deploy folder and place the activation key there. If you do just start it up on your own, the deploy folder will automatically generate, but this just sort of speeds up the process a little bit. So I'm going to click and create a new folder here. Okay, I'm going to call it deploy. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and copy the activation key from my downloads. And I'm just going to place it right on into the deploy folder. All right. So now when Liferay starts up, it's going to start up and automatically pick up that activation key for us. So we'll be ready to go. All right. From here, to actually get this started up, it's going to look a little bit different for the operating systems. So for those of you on Windows, you can just go into the Tomcat folder, go into bin. All right, and then there's going to be a startup.bat file. Go ahead and double click that. And if you have Java set up and the Java home environment variable properly set up, this will just get Liferay started for you nice and easy. For those of us who are on Mac or Unix, we can go ahead and navigate to the bin folder in the terminal. So make sure you have your terminal open. I'm going to open a new tab here. And I'm going to go ahead and navigate there. So CD, I'm going to make it easy for myself by just simply dragging the bin folder into the terminal, navigating there. And we will run the command /catalina.sh space run. Okay, and that's going to get Liferay started up for us. All right, so this is going to take a few minutes. So again, feel free to pause the video as your server starts up if you're doing this along with me. All right. And we'll go ahead and get started once it is ready to go. All right. So when your server is started up and ready to go, you should see that server start up in some amount of milliseconds. Okay. So shortly after this, you should see a new browser pop up here. Okay. Should say basic configuration, localhost 8080. And here we're going to go ahead and just simply walk through the setup wizard. Okay. All right, so for the portal name, we're going to go ahead and replace this with Livingston Hotels and Resorts. All right, let's go ahead and click Add Sample Data here. Uncheck that. Make sure that is unchecked. We don't want any of the sort of testing data. We don't want to bloat our server. Okay, we want to keep it nice and simple. All right, and for the administrative user, we're just going to use the administrator for the Livingston Hotels and Resorts. Okay, so for the first name, we're going to change this to Josiah. For the last name, we're going to change this to Copeland. All right, and for the email, to be consistent, I'm going to go ahead and change it to josiah.copeland@livingston.com. You can use test@liferay.com as well, or your own email or whatever you would like here. It's totally up to you. All right, for the database, I'm going to go ahead and just leave it as is and click Finish Configuration. All right, so once we have done that, we're just going to walk through some initial steps here. Okay, there's a Terms of Use placeholder here. We can just click I agree. All right, for the password, go ahead and type in something really complicated like test. Make it nice and secure. And click Save. All right, this is the password reminder query. Okay, we're going to keep it simple. What is your father's middle name? I'll go ahead and keep that as test as well. Okay, and once we have clicked Save, we can go ahead and see here that we are on the front page of the Livingston Hotels and Resorts site. All right, so this gives us everything we need for our testing server. Like I said, we can build and deploy things here. We'll be able to see what all of our projects look like. All right, so we're going to open this up for the final steps here. What we need is we need to go ahead and make sure that we have an editor that we can use. So we're going to use Visual Studio Code. Okay. Again, in my exercises, and I'm just going to have this up for all of the chapter videos. In the first section here, I have the Visual Studio Code section. You'll see there's some installers here, so go ahead and make sure you have Visual Studio Code installed if you don't already have it installed. And once you walk through the installation for that, we need to go ahead and add some snippets that we can take advantage of to simplify some of the process of this course. So go ahead and open up Visual Studio Code. I'm going to go ahead and bring this in here. All right, and what we need to do is we need to add our snippets. You'll see in the exercises right here to the right, I have my snippet JSON file. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to the User Snippet menu. Okay, so on Windows, that's going to be in File, Preferences, and User Snippets. For those of us on Mac, this is going to be in the Code section here. We're going to go to Preferences and User Snippets. All right, and we want to go ahead and click on New Snippets here. Okay, so there's going to be a new Global Snippets file. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to name it LFR-front-end. Okay. And go ahead and click Save. All right, I've already done this before, so I'm just going to go ahead and click Replace here. You may not see that. And this will give us our new snippets file. So what we need to do is we need to add the JSON code from our snippets file in the exercises into this file here and save it. And then we can just go ahead and reference all of these snippets all throughout the rest of the course. So again, in your exercises, make sure you are in the front-end developer exercises in that chapter 1 section. All right, I've opened up the VS Code section, so go ahead and open up that JSON file. And we're just going to go ahead and copy this entire thing. All right, I'll go ahead and close this. And we're going to replace everything in our new snippets file and save the file. All right, so you can just go ahead and close that there. What we're going to do again throughout the course is we're going to reference some of these snippets and do some coding ourselves. But with all of this set up, we are good to go. So make sure you have your Liferay instance running. Okay. Make sure you have your node set up. We have Yeoman and Gulp installed. We have the Liferay theme generator, which we will be using to create and package and deploy our new modules for Liferay. And we also have our Visual Studio Code that we'll be using as well. All right, so make sure you have all of that set up, and I will see you in the next chapter.